All right, shalom, shalom. This is Brother Moab coming to you again. Lord willing, this will be edifying to those of you who are tuning in. But before we get started, I'd like to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rekdash. Double honors to teachers, others, and the apostle of great millstone, likewise, brothers, put on the truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep, and you brothers and sisters that are tuning in. Shalom. And you know, the true prophets never compromise. Okay, like these are the pussy ass camps out there that won't give the glory and thanks and honor and magnify the name of the Mashiach, okay? They're still out there with that JC doggone, tune in their mouth, coming up against the true prophets, trying to convince the believers that there's no Jacob's trouble, there's no MOTB, which is the mark of the beast. The Lord Yahweh Shai, he is a pleasant God that is going to bring everybody into the fold. So these are the kind of motherfuckers that are out there right now with that slave mentality, that see the so-called white man, okay, as the everlasting ruler of them, okay, and not the Hamashiach, okay? They don't have that king mentality. In fact, because as always, when you go out there in public, you still see that proud look of these Edomites, man, okay, the so-called white people, okay? You see that proud look, but as always, if you keep in mind who they really are, you could never, ever, ever fall for that fake ass smile. Those crocodile tears that's coming from them. This is the book of Job 30 and starting verse 5. It reads, they were driven forth from among men. Who's they? These dirty, nasty, cave beasts. They call themselves Caucasian today. They cried after them as after a thief, yes, which describes them perfectly, to dwell in the cliffs of the valley, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. So the true caveman, how he so like to make fun of himself, saying it's so easy a caveman can do it. Okay, well, you actually didn't do it, Esau. The Lord Yahweh Shai gave you the authority to rule and oppress people on this earth. That's you with the sword. That's what you're doing. So you are doing your job, and it was given. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. You are wicked, but there is a finite rulership that you will have. You are not going to have infinite rulership. That comes when the Hamashiach returns. Continuing, it says they were children of fools, yet children of base, Salakia's boast. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nestle they were gathered together. Doggone. You know how caveman, they like to grunt. This is why, hey, notice like when these crackers play football or any type of game like that, they like to bomb chests and all that bullshit. Okay, you jakes need to start doing that shit, man. That's almost like freaking doggone having your doggone, nuts coming together. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that bullshit. Okay, but see, that's how these cavemen operate. It says they were children of fools, yet children of base men. They were viler than the earth. They're a base chick. 18 tribes created. The people that are in rulership right now, despite the fact that they have weapons and all the money and the gold and everything, they are a base, and the world is going to see when the Mashiach returns just how Esau ain't shit. Now, with that in mind, because like was one of the brothers from GMS Solomon Assembly, he said, in order to really stay constantly, hot, of course the spirit have to be on you, but you can never get enticed with what you've seen around you. Because keep in mind here, we're in a dual status here. We're in the spirit. We're worshiping Yahweh Shai, doing the work that the Mashiach has ordered us to do. Yet at the same time, we walk around these people as men, okay, and have to communicate with them or do business with them or deal with them. But you see them when you communicate with them, it's easy to get, persuaded by Bob or Billy or Tommy and even that fruity nigga, that they're good. These people are good. So, like the brother said, he looks at pictures of hangings and things that Esau has done to Jakes, and that keeps that spirit of that anger. You need someone to keep that fuel on you, man. All right, so let's talk about some things that's going on. Yeah, Lord Yahweh has been very busy in the world. He's been busy visiting these nations, okay? And there's no innocent nation, okay? The judgments haven't reached the Great Babylon yet to the level and scale that we're seeing overseas. But, most of you or all of you probably know about, over 1,600 deleted over there in Myanmar and Bangkok, Thailand. I think it actually went, the aftershocks actually went as far as China. Okay, but that mean that place in Myanmar, they got the brunt of it, and there's videos that capture, you know, the terror of these people. That's the Lord. How about Shemashai bringing judgment? Okay, you have a near miss at the DC airport with a Delta Airlines and a military jet, so they had to do, you know, come some maneuvering. So that's things to come. You know, in that movie, what is it? Leave the World Behind. You know, some of the things that they showed in that was that a lot of planes were going to be dropping out of the sky. So, you know, that one that happened in DC a couple months ago. That's just the beginning of some of the stuff that we're going to see. Said you have another thing, Greenland. You know, where, you know, they already have a base out there, and what America is really looking to do is really strategically place themselves, because they know there's a war coming with Russia. They know it. They know that. Okay? They know there's a war that's coming with Russia. We know that. We prophesy it all the time. Okay? And Russia's now backing down from, you know, whatever kind of deal that they're trying to make with them. But this is the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, setting that spirit up in these kings to really come up against Great Babylon America. You had in Kansas, you had the Black Mass Satanic group. You know, they had the Catholics coming out there, and you know, they all like basically it was a protest against them. They're a satanic group, a satanic cult or group, you know, that worship Satan openly. You know, they had basically out in the public, you know, where they was doing their thing, and a lot of people look at it and they didn't like it. But what a lot of people don't understand is this: is that you worship the devil on every day, you just don't know it. You might so-called white man, when you put your trust and faith into the United States government or any of these doggone men that are exalting themselves with necktie and suit and telling you what they're going to do for you and stuff, and you don't know who the true power is, which is Yahweh Shemashai, you don't put no trust in him, basically you're a devil doggone worshiper, really. Okay? You're a devil worshiper. And that's prevalent, especially amongst the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? The 2/3. Let's talk about the deletion of niggas. Rapper Young Scooter. What a name. Dead at age 29 at 9. He was running from the cops, I guess. You know, he had long dreadlocks. I don't even know this nigga because I don't listen to this shit these days. But the Lord deleted his ass. Okay, so good riddance. He offered no type of, he's of no asset, so to speak, to Yasharala. And then there was Sean Kingston, which I know that guy, or at least one of his song. Him and his mom, they got found guilty of fraud. Over $1 million. They were doing a lot of wiretap fraud, wire fraud. Okay, so again, we're sitting in the dark, will be brought to light, and these niggas are getting their judgment. And now you're talking about these camps that are out there, okay, that are still being passive aggressive, that are still worshiping the so-called white man, calling on the false names, you know, Jesus Christ and God, and you know, I know brothers from Great Muslim and other affiliates putting up videos speaking against, you know, how these guys are getting, you know, right now they're being approached by other, you know, even Christians out there and other Hebrew Israelites out there that know the true name, that are saying like, dude, what you're teaching is false. Okay? So it's just a matter of time before you see the collapse of IUIC and the judgment. And, you know, the Lord is going to take out who was really truly righteous there, but, you know, being that astray. ISUPK, and, you know, we already know what's going on with Sakari, how that's been dismantled. But yet, so right now, the only thing that they can rebuttal with is to be rebellious and go, I don't give a crap anymore. I don't care that now the world knows, and I'm talking about the leader here, now that the world know that I like my wife to take a doggone, put strap on and bend him over. I mean, you know, you can't get more sicker than this shit. But what you have is that sort of my spirit that's heavy on these jakes right now, because they don't want to experience that lack of comfort that you're going to get here in Great Babylon, America. You know, the lack of friends and associates and people that you have nothing in common with. So yeah, it's a lonely road. Okay, but we're commanded to do it. We're gonna get all of that back in the kingdom. Let's go into the book of Psalms 64. Okay, this is the book of Psalms 64, and starting. Actually, you know what? Slakia, we're gonna go into the book of James, Isaiah 54. Slakia, James 4. And verse 4. This is the book of James 4 and verse 4 reads, "You, ye adulterers and adulteress, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with power, and whosoever therefore will be friend of the world is the enemy of power." So when IUIC, in particular, I call them the matching, kind of, what's our purple dinosaur name? Was it Barney? Yeah. But they're marching around the street there, trying to act like paramilitary. I mean, the place is it's just so laughable, They have a friendly attitude with the world, and the world, which is really Esau's world, okay? Because under that 503, that non-profit thing that they're doing, they pretend like they're helping so-called black community, okay? You might hand out some chicken, some turkey, they're being that Nino Brown, and our people, on a mindset of, save me, handout, give me handouts. They see that as like, oh wow, these are truly holy men, and this is what IUIC is using to propel their ministry, and also to get get a whole lot of suckers to turn around and dig down in their pocket and throw into that collection plate, or what they call tithes, or whatever the hell they want to call it. Which is the reason why you see that they can have these exuberant parties. You have ISUPK charging, Jake's them like a couple $100 to show up to the rap concert they have for the Paso, and then putting on videos with them putting Jake's them in the front lane rest position, for not paying their tithes. I mean, if you can do something that stupid, it just shows the lack of intelligence of these doggone niggas, man. If you can do something that stupid, just keep that in house. Okay, especially if it's a joke, keep it in house. If it's not a joke, keep it in house. In fact, don't do it. And let me tell you something here. You young cats out there, okay? Because you don't know about the truth. You man worshippers out there. You don't have to do that shit. If a nigga's hustling your ass for money like that, then he's low. Then maybe he might be not at your damn level. That he gotta do that fucking shit to you. There's no reason to put anybody in front of the arrest position to pay to cough up money, man. That's just basically blatant robbery, man. But there's a certain set of Jason that are set up to kind of fall like that. I can guarantee you won't be able to pull that shit with any of the righteous or the true prophets at all. You can get checked real fucking quick. All right, it's just that way. All right, but they love the world, and Yahweh Shemai Shai is not having it. Let's go into the book of Isaiah 54 and Isaiah 54 and verse 14. And it reads, "In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near thee." Now, we know that there's a great judgment that's coming. We preach about that judgment. You had the elder brother Yashua Amma put out a great lesson yesterday concerning DMOTB. That's already here. It's not coming soon. It's actually already here. Okay? So we right now, we're putting out and now bringing it out more as was told by the apostles to us, to everyone, start bringing out talking about the MOTB, because we at that point right now. We truly believe that Trump, okay, is that guy that's going to be implementing that. You watch the headlines of what's going on. There's so much distraction, but there's so much things that's going on. You get the Lord judging different parts of the earth. Yes, so great Babylon, America is being judged. When this man comes with all these tariffs, okay, and all these changes to these laws, and I think right now, I saw one of the brothers put up a video this morning concerning that Trump had signed into place the digital, some of it like digital spending or digital way of doing business. Okay, so they're moving more towards it. They're not building these, supercomputers or what they call quantum computers just because they can build them. They're building them because these system will have the ability to be able to monitor, okay, literally hundreds of millions of people, what they're doing and their activities that they're doing, at the speed of, nanosecond or picoseconds, okay? They're not building them so you can have 8G cell phone or some shit like that, or your Netflix don't lag when you're watching it. All right, it says, "Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee, he shall fall for thy sake." That includes you 2/3. Because when y'all are coming out there, and the only thing y'all can come out and say is, I mean, and they go blatantly making out videos and stuff there. You got this big fat fuck called Yahweh Maccabees. And I used to watch him. I used to follow him. And every video he's been putting out now for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, now it's been concerning going up against GMS. It's like, dude, you were out there, we know you're off because you're going out there talking about the new covenant, which we're not in, okay? But now look at he's running out of sauce for that. So now he's just going into the taunting, rapping, so-called rapping, and every video he's putting up, he's just trying to stir up something, and it's like, so you're not even edifying your congregation. All you're doing is gossip, and anybody's really watching, he's gone, man. He is gone. He does need help. Okay, he does need help. So he spotted that group too. Maybe he saw Troom a couple pennies. I definitely don't think they gave him a bag, but maybe they threw him a couple pennies or something that was some change drop at a IUIC pocket or something that was marching down the street, and he picked it up and go, oh yeah, he's got backup now. It says, "Behold, I've created a smith that bloweth the coal in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I've created a waster to destroy it." So the Lord, how about Shema's got these doggone crackers in the mix of the destruction that he's going to be bringing on them. First of all, he gave him the ability to go and put the sword, turn that sword on the other tribes, including us. But he gave them even a more high level ability, with now being able to split the atoms and, really create these war machines so that they can turn around and really scrap against each other. That's why you can have Egyptians against Egyptians. It says, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn." You see the rebuke that the brothers are giving to these other camps, making sure that the sheep don't go astray. Okay, you see that there's a lot of videos that come out to correct what these false prophets are coming out and saying, because they're making sure they get on these platforms like the podcast, to stir up. And all of a sudden now in 2025, you're seeing more and more and more individuals making these videos on TikTok, getting their 20, 30, 40, 100,000 views on talking about not only about the ministry, but us being Hebrew Israelites, and the fact that we actually are the ones that to get the inheritance. They just simply can't get over being in this oppressive state. It doesn't anger them. Nothing is annoying these guys. They don't get angry at having a pain, just dealing with the BS. They're not angry. They really hope some way, somehow, Esau will come true for them. Some way, somehow, Esau will somehow come true and see that they are true, loyal niggas deserving of a piece of that pie. They said, "This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, and their righteousness of me," said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. So they can talk. They can talk shit. They may even attempt to try to even hurt. They might get some. But the elect, Yahushai did not die so that Esau can turn around and overrun his chosen people. Okay, the elect, the 1/3 elect. He didn't sacrifice himself so that Esau could just do whatever the hell he pleases. Okay, with his servants and his followers. And those of you who are following diligently with the prophets, you're a servant too. You're a servant too. You're in an obedient spirit. How many people out here know right now that we're in the Sabbath? They don't. Really, we are in the Sabbath. Now you should have, said Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shabbat or Shabbat Shalom. But we had a double Sabbath. They don't know that, nor do they care. Okay? They're out there busy driving around, and you know, and next week they'll go to work and continue on in the same old shit here in Great Babylon, America. Let's go into Proverbs 28 and 3. 28 and 3. This is crazy here. It reads, "A poor man that oppresses the poor is like sweeping rain, which leaveth no food." You get these church, and I mean, when you talk about these Baptist church and these Anglican church and these, I call it the Christianity church like that. I mean, you can go on forever because it would be a waste of time because we all kind of came up in that system a little bit where you know, your grandma or your mother drag you off to church, and then they give you that little collection in your pocket, and when you know that play come around, of course, you get all the hymns and all the things going on. You get a big picture of so-called Virgin Mary and sweet Jesus up there, and the sweaty pastor just run around there, wiping their face, and you know, and depends on what church you're in, you might even smell, and they got a kitchen, you might even smell like macaroni and cheese and grits and corn cooking. Boy, and that's really what you're thinking about. Now we all was up, and we were all, most of us, I can say I was, you know, coming from the islands, was in there, and of course, you know, they set up to rip you off. Worse is you got guys like doggone, people in our own tribe that are doing that, using the Bible as a means to wax rich. Okay, because what our people really clinging to is they're not really. When I say our people, I'm talking about even including the 2/3. I'm talking about the 2/3. What they're clinging on to is that old hope. Their hope is because they've been taught that sweet, loving, white cracker Jesus is going to definitely save his people, but then they can get saved too. So even though the so-called white man right now is oppressing Jakes and beating the shit out of Jakes and doing all those nasty things, and that Jakes them are willing to look past that. Yes, sir, it doesn't dawn on them, but wait a minute, if he's doing that and the so-called white man is doing that, and their God and the God that they've been pushing you is also an Edomite or look like an Edomite, what makes you think he's going to show favor on your ass and bring you in the kingdom and give you milk, give you the milk and the honey too? That doesn't make any doggone sense. I would assume that, nah, he can hate me too. But y'all clinging on, a lot of these 2/3, they're clinging on to that because they want to bring in they want to loop everybody in. They want to loop everybody in. And these type of people, they have no problem ripping off people that look like them, the poor, through manipulation of the scriptures, or through manipulation of other things, or using a combination of the outside world manipulation and then the scriptures that's written in the Bible. And you see IUIC, who's a cherry pick, who they're known for their cherry picking, because when they're approached, in the video I watched this morning with GMS Sit Down Vegas, where this Jake obviously knew the name, and he was asking them and talking to them. They were very evasive. That particular camp was very evasive because they've been taught that way to be very evasive concerning the name, glorifying the name of the Mashiach. They are very evasive. They use evasive scriptures, and then their thing will come up, well, where's that in the Bible? 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 Okay, well, where's it in the Bible that says that Americans and so-called African Americans is going to are going to be saved? Well, where does they come on? They'll say, well, where's that in the Bible when they're challenged about the correct name and why they should glorify the name of Yahweh Shema Shai? But these are the same ones that stand up and saying, well, he's black, and we African American, which is themselves, we are the chosen, the true biblical Hebrews. Right? So show in the Bible where it says African American, IUIC. You see how that works? Because y'all full of shit, man. Y'all full of shit. Y'all always asking people to show where's that in the Bible, but why don't y'all show where African American is? Because y'all are definitely teaching everybody out there that the African Americans are the Jews of the Bible. Show it where the word African American is. You can't. So that's kind of dumb to ask somebody when they come up to y'all, well, show me where it's that in the scripture. And you're right, GMS has 100% of the truth. They do. They do. Okay? Which the rest of us are learn from them. Because the Lord is only dealing with the true prophets. The rest of these guys are jokers, man. And they're oppressing the poor. They don't care that they're destroying their own people with bullshit lies and all that stuff like that. And who's pleased with this deception that they're doing? And who's really benefiting? Esau. Esau loved to see the war going on like that. But that's okay. This is a spiritual war. That war is going to be fought. Okay, let's go into the book of Luke 16. Luke 16 and verse 13. This is the book of Luke 16 and verse 13 says, and this is the Mashiach speaking, it's all in red. No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve power and mammon. We now know who we are. We now know who the so-called white man is. Esau the Edomite. You know, they go by many different names. I open up that these people are cave people. The Lord has shed that cave here off of them, brought them out of the caves. You know, remember they talk about rebuilding. Okay, but the Lord says he's going to do it. He's going to throw them down and call them the border of wickedness, which we've seen that they are the border of wickedness right now to this day. They did get to, you know, come out of the caves and go into, you know, the Renaissance era where they change up all the things and they call it, you know, the time of great art and all that stuff. And at that same time that they was able to be exalted and mount up and to what you see right now today, we came down. We came down. And our history was blotched out, and our tongue was beaten out of us. And we were brought down, and we all went into that slavery. Okay? They went down to South America, conquered down there with the disease, and then the sword. They came here to Great Bible in America, conquered this place with disease and the sword. And then went to West Africa, and then brought the so-called black man over here to do hardcore slavery. And that was all told on how this is going to take place in the book of Deuteronomy 27, the book of Deuteronomy 28. So we know that the so-called white man right now who's in rulership, okay, is evil and wicked. He has no intent, no good intention for us. In fact, he's of no benefit to us. The only reason why we have to go to him for everything is because that's basically how the Lord set it up. So in reality, Esau, you're really working for us, because you don't want to have to go build up all this stuff, and guess what? You know, Jake ain't gonna go through all the material and grab all that stuff. Now, we already did the slavery thing. But a lot of Jakes are taking it too far right now. They're trying to keep one foot in the world. Basically, really, they're heavy into the politics and all that stuff. At the same time, they're supposed to be worshiping Yahweh Shemel Shai. But out there in the world, they call him God and Jesus. But boy, they're really heavy into the world shit. So you know that they're going in a direction that it's not going to end well. None of us vote, and none of us took the juice, and none of us intend to. Okay, and we pray to Yahweh Shemel Shai that, you know, we are part of that chosen that's going to be kept during the hour of temptation, because shit is about to go down south. Don't get it twisted. We ain't getting no problems right now. Come on. All of us doing this work. We can still eat, you know, work, drive a decent car, whatever the case is like that. You know, have a little bit of leisure. Of course, there's a balance. But we ain't hit that proverbial where you can hear the gunshot ringing daily, nightly. These are horrible things and judgments that's actually going to become. So we don't worship. We don't worship Esau. We don't give a fuck about Esau. It's about Yahweh Bashim Yahshai for us. That's what it's all about. Esau is not in our thoughts other than the fact that we are praying Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, jack your ass up and allow us to see it. And we're seeing it right now. It's already happening as we speak. Let's go into the book of, this is the book of Proverbs 29 and start verse 25. And it reads, Salakia, let's go start off. This is the book of Proverbs 29, and let's go and start off with verse 23. It says, a man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Esau is prideful, he's going to be brought low. Okay, you get the IUIC leadership, they're prideful, they're going to be brought low. You had that Sakari guy, he was brought low, and it's going to be moving on and on, including all these Christianity denomination. It's going to be brought low, okay? And you're going to see the humble is going to be upheld. You know, men like us who are, Lord willing, you know, who take the low on a daily basis. You know, constantly taking the low. It says, whoso is a partner with a thief hated his own soul, he heard cursing and bread not. He's talking a lot of shit, and the only ones that are defending what he's saying about the Hebrew Israelite who's talking about. Okay, let me give you an example here. And you might see, y'all might see it. Now, you know the situation is going on with the Northern Kingdom, that they're being, you know, picked up and, you know, taken across the border and incarcerated and all that sort of stuff. This, what did Trump call it? Deportation thing. Now, when you look out, out of this ministry, okay, and when I say of this ministry, I'm looking out from only the men that are really bringing out the 100% truth. What you see is a lot of the Jason out there, the 2/3. The so-called blacks are now making mockery videos of saying something called fuck around, find out, FAFO. All those type of videos. And I love these podcasts too. Because they love it. Because there's still an animosity. They don't understand what it really is all about. Okay? They don't understand what it's really all about. They hear Esau talking about and accusing Northern Kingdom tribes of being murderers and thieves and drug dealers. And these podcasts, they're not coming up and defending that, and they're not looking and going, well, what about you? See, when we look at it and we bring out the lesson about that, we can see that this man is an accuser. Esau's a hypocrite. Esau's a hypocrite. It's a soft, mushy, cry, wimpy ass damn demon that only knows how to give but cannot receive any type of judgment. Okay? And, you know, if you know anything about, if you know the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, then you can see here, you know, that gave a view of things to come for these Edomites, into the fact that they seriously will not be able to take the judgment that they are going to get when it's their turn to serve in oppression. Okay? So you have, other than the true righteous man, standing up for Yasharala, standing up against the false prophet, standing up against the so-called white man and all this crap that comes out, looking at what he's trying not to say, looking at what he's doing. Okay, this is why you see this kind of change strategy all the time. Because they know who the true prophets are. And they're getting called out. But our people out there won't do that because why? They side with the thief. They side with the murderer. Okay? They hate themselves. They hate them. They hate someone that looks like them, talks like them. They hate themselves. Okay? The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai should be safe. So you got to walk in this with only fear and trembling for the Yahweh Shemeshai, because we always have to understand any judgment that come on you is brought on by the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai. It ain't just coincident. We all can think about things that should have deleted us a long time ago. I know I can personally think about a lot of things that could have deleted me a long time ago. And yesterday it didn't happen. And you scratch your head even back then before I understood. Why? The Lord Yahweh Shemashai is the one that controls life and death. Plain and simple, not Esau. Many seeks the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment coming from the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. Now let's go back to 28 cents of fear when I bring it a snare. But also put his trust in the Lord Yahweh Shemashai should be sick. That snare, okay, if you're scared, a couple years ago, what did that Biden do? He looked in the camera and he goes, get injected. And people was running. They threatened it, but they threatened you losing your job, all kinds of crap. And that was like compared to when they come up with this MOTB where they can say, if you don't get it, we'll incarcerate you with no type of due process, which is like you don't get to have no attorney or nothing like that. Which we see that's happening right now with the Northern Kingdom. Okay? In fact, it's been happening before that because Jake never got any due process. When Esau grabbed a doggone, in fact, I'm going to write that down as a lesson. Okay? No due process. Okay? When they shoot down the so-called black man in the street, and occasionally they shoot down the Latino man too, that's a lack of due process. There's no due process. He didn't get his day in court. Esau just gunned him right down. Okay? Esau just gunned his ass right down. So our people, when they have that fear of Esau, it makes them do a lot of things that they know that they shouldn't be doing. You should not be accepting homosexuality or having your kids change their assigned sexual organs by Yahweh Shemashai, how they was born. You know, everything else that Esau, how our people doing? You're doing it because you're still trying to please the so-called white man. It says, many shall see the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment coming from the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, which I was just talking about. So you look at the word it says, but every man's judgment coming from the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. All of us, every man, all 18 tribes, those people who got killed over there in that earthquake, that was their judgment. They died like that. Someone was in the building that collapsed. That's a horrible way to die. That was their judgment. You might not be able to understand the Chinese. You might not be able to understand a Russian. You might not be able to understand an African or whatever the hell they are. But nonetheless, they get judged. They get judged. So they have done something in their life to get judged the way they got judged. Okay? You might not understand it. We might only understand people who can speak English or whatever the case, who have the same kind of so-called culture. And you say, yeah, that was a bad man. Or yeah, he deserved that. Whatever cases like that. And you don't understand, you know, the people on the other side of the world who speaks a different language. But keep in mind, we all have to eat, sleep, take a poop. You know, you want to have family or love or whatever cases like that, procreate, all those things. Okay? Because why? At the end of the day, we're men and women. It says, an unjust man is an abomination to the just. So so the unjust out there, Esau, the Edomite so-called white man, he's an abomination to us. Now we have Jakes that are an abomination too, but they're not the wicked. They just do evil things and bad things, but they're not the evil or the wicked, like the so-called white man. So he's an abomination. And he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. You know the greatest fear right now? Now, I used to hear back in the day, and I used to watch a show called A Different World with Kadeem Hardison and all that stuff. And Kadeem Hardison characters that was heavy into that Afrocentric type culture. You know, and they used to come up with a lot of things. They used to say, you know, this is basically in the 80s, you know, early 90s, like, you know, right up to like, what, 93, 94, maybe. You know, they used to always come out and they used to say, the greatest fear of the white man is an educated black man. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. There's a ton. And brothers in this ministry who have degrees can tell you that's not the case like that. When you go to a job interview all the time, you gotta look like you use a daggone animal, man. Okay? That ain't that great. How the hell the greatest fear of the so-called white man is an educated black man when that so-called black man went and got educated at the so-called white man's institution? So if I taught you something, are you going to know as much as me? No. When you go teach that to somebody else, are they going to know as much as you? No. So that person who you taught, are they going to know as much as me? Absolutely not. You see how this go? It's like it fades and fades and fades and fades and fades and fades. So no. What is the greatest threat to the so-called white man is a spiritual man who's right in the spirit with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. The man that knows his name, because remember, okay, it's a dreadful, the name of the Lord is dreadful, dreadful to these doggone heathens. So that it's dreadful to these doggone, to these non-Hebrew Israelites. It's horrible to Esau especially, because they know the ones who are singing this song, okay, are covered by the Lord Yahweh Shemai Shai. Okay, if we're a part of the elect. And that's a horrible thing to them. Because they know nothing that they say means a damn thing to us. Not a damn thing that come with Esau mouth. Oh, we landed on the moon. No, you didn't. Then haven't you gone back? You didn't land on the moon. We know you didn't land on the moon because you can't get past the doggone, you can't get past the Van Allen belt. That's not your glory, and it's never going to be your glory. That's something the Hebrew Israelite is going to experience when you have that body that's able to not only be terrestrial, but also extraterrestrial. You get these crackers can't even stand up in the damn sun for 15 minutes on Earth. How in the fuck you could be on the damn moon, which is closer to the sun, and doesn't even have the so-called the layer of protection against UV rays and all the other things like that. But somehow your ass can go up and actually survive that shit. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, these are the same dumb motherfuckers that are calling you black. This is black. There's me. Does that? Are those the same color? But they charging you thousands of dollars to go get a college degree and yes, so we'll call black. Huh? Let me not digress. Let's go on to Proverbs 3:3. Because here's what's really getting Jake's down. It says, Proverbs 3:3 says, it's the book of Proverbs. Make sure I get it. 3:7 verse 31. Slovakia. It reads, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." Clearly, the guy from IUS, not IUS, was it Sakari? He envies the oppressor because he chose some of his ways. Because he saw them into that doggone, that butt breaking shit. And that's basically what he did. He got butt break by his wife, according to what's been going around. So he chose his ways. Okay? He chose his ways. Okay? P. Diddy chose the ways of Esau. Because he's heavy into butt breaking. Okay? And it goes on and on and on. He says, "For the fraud is abomination to the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, but the secrets with the righteous, the secrets with us." Okay? See, we know what's going to happen to Esau. We also know what's going to happen to the unrighteous of Yasharallah. We also know what's going to happen to the 2/3, which is why we always pray we're not part of the 2/3. We also know what's going to happen to the 1/3. The 1/3 is going to be brought through the fire. Meaning what? The fire of adversity, lack of food, and terror beyond your imagination going on. I mean, it's one thing to sit down and watch it on TV, but imagine, all you hear all this screams, and you walking around, you see dead body, and you smelling that shit, you see the rotten carcasses of animals and people, you see dogs eating people, and this is going to be horrible in the beginning, but then after a while, you know what's going to happen? People get used to it, and then people start to get numb to it, and cold, and then it just becomes nothing for people to just delete somebody for whatever they have. Nobody's going to be in the business of sharing. You're not going to come and go, well, I have a box of food here that could last me a year, but if we share, it can last about 6 months, so at least we both don't starve. Nobody's going to be in that spirit, man. Because that person will go, really? Let me take a look, and then they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you and take it. Why would they want to live for only 6 months? That makes no sense. They want to live for a whole year, so they can kill you and take your shit. This is where you're going to be going. You're going to be going. This is where America is going to be going in that direction. This is going to be a global thing. We're going to be going in that direction, man. Okay? So you need to understand that. It says, the curse of the Lord Yahweh Shemash is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just. Okay? You've seen people, and you probably know some people out there who's out in the world, when you was out there in the world, catching hell right now. They're catching hell. You might get that phone call from someone you haven't seen for a while or years. All of a sudden, they just come with all their problems. Man, see, that's the good thing about technology is you can just hit that block and ignore it. Okay? Now, one of the things that you see going on, because you're getting these other camps out there, these other, like IUIC and the rest of them, Sakaris and them, they're getting shake up. And the Spirit came on to the apostles and also other brothers, them, to warn all of us about not falling for these harlots that's going to be coming around to them, Shalawam, and you cute, or whatever the hell they want to come up with. Because they're dangerous. Okay? They're dangerous. So just be very careful of these people that are coming aggressively trying to get your, get close to you aggressively, and you don't know who the hell they are. Okay? To be very careful with that. But you see right now, the Lord right now is, you're seeing a split coming on. And I think I saw a brother put up a video the other day that's saying that we are pretty much probably getting very near the ceiling of the elect. I noticed, I noticed because of course I watch a lot of videos and stuff. Sometimes the videos is going up less and less. I don't know if YouTube is blocking or whatever the case like that, but there's going to come a point in time to where all of us, our tongue is going to be cleaving to the top of our mouth. We ain't going to be able to speak. The ministry is going to be done. I mean, see, like a seal. We ain't going to be able to in the highway and the byway, with all hell breaking loose. Now, we know these other camps, they're going to try to go out there and try and make a name for themselves, which I saw that happen during the George Floyd thing and BLM marching and all that stuff. You had Wi-Fi and IUIC out there, and they got run down by the police. Now, at that time, I wasn't in the truth like now. I had not known about Great Mill Stone, and I was following them, and I was waiting for them to shoot the fire out their mouth, like the scripture said. And that didn't happen, and they were powerless. They just got ran over, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I'm scratching my head and going, "What the hell?" Of course, as time go by, it dawned on me that these were a bunch of clowns. These were a bunch of clowns. And Lord willing, He takes the elect out of these groups and who are watching them. They might be entertaining. To the person who just come in, and they might think that's the way to go. And I talked to other brothers who watched them too and really thought the same thing too. But you want more than that. I don't want to be entertained. The only entertainment I want to see is when Esau's getting that damn judgment. That's entertaining. When these crackers come and they start crying, when Elon Musk take their job from them, that's entertaining. When these crackers catching hell, that's entertaining. When I say, I know all these other tribes, so when they're catching hell, that's entertaining. That is entertaining. The judgment of the Lord is bringing on our enemies. That's entertaining. I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's go into, this is the book of, let's go into Isaiah 3 and 7 verse 1. I haven't been in this one for a while. It reads, "For behold, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemel Shai, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff and the wholesale of bread and the wholesale of water, And Jerusalem, it's a people before a place. So 12 tribes of Israel. And you've seen this right now. One of the biggest things that you see coming up right now is with the Trump administration is now looking at the welfare system. And they're looking to cut those things. You see Social Security even getting hit too, with the welfare system to get hit. And that's going to bring down the spirit of these women significantly. You know, the ones that have 5, 6 kids, 5 different men, you know, have a body count like in the thousands, all fat and nasty, no pride, no shame, or nothing like that. I don't need no man. Well, we're going to see how that's going to turn out. It says, the mighty man, the man of war, the judge, the prophet, the prudent, the ancient, captain of 50, the honorable man, the counselor, and the cunning anticipator, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes to rule over them. You see, women still get all the high-paying job amongst Jake, especially the Negro. Eve is making more money, and Eve is still on her little pedestal, which is right now, Esau is using that jigsaw and sawing it right down ever so slowly. But at the same time, he's telling Eve, keep doing the shit you're doing, bitch. Keep doing the shit you're doing. Okay? And you can call these fruitcake niggas Eve too. They're bitches, they ain't man. They sure as hell ain't man. Okay? Esau's got them doing the shit too. Okay? So Esau is a child. And that's when you look at how the so-called white man operate, man, these are children, man. The things that they do, and you can't follow them. I remember, because I went to private school, and most of the classroom of the kids, it was white kids. It was a Lutheran school, and the things that they did, it was considered cool, like, oh wow, amongst them. And you try to imitate that shit. Like bungee jumping. I never did it, but I was gonna do it one time. You gotta be insane to tie a rope or whatever the hell it is around your leg, or a rubber band around your leg, and then just jump off something and hope that shit doesn't snap and you friggin' on hit what's below you at 120 miles an hour. I mean, come on. You go to these frat parties or whatever the case is, they hold you upside down to drink the beer. They pass a can of beer around everybody and put their mouth up. Boy, let me tell you something. And some brothers have had that unique experience where you live in pretty much a 99.999% white state or city. We're going back to like 1990s here. And literally, you were the only so-called black person. Like literally, I used to have people come and touch my back that I had hair, would touch your hair and go, wow. Touching it, they never even been around so-called black people before. Okay? Think about the fact that, you're coming from the 70s and 80s where there was a division. I mean, did some of you know that there used to actually be 2 Grammy Awards? There used to be actually Grammy Awards for black people, so-called black people, and actually then everybody else. Go back and watch the Grammy Award, the 1982 Grammy Award. We forgot all about that, man, because they integrated all that shit right now. So what you have is an integration, and what they've done is they've taken the worst of Jake's, because Jake can be very wicked, and the worst of Esau, and combine those together and create a toxic drink, basically, okay, which is that way of living and thinking, and fed it to everybody in this earth. Fed it to everybody in this earth. And a lot of people are drank into it. They can't get out of it right now. So some people are under the illusion that when they see so-called black people and white people stand up together, oh, well, the racism isn't like how it used to be. Why? Because they're standing up there promoting bullshit that has no value, like rap music and all this other crap. Come on. These rappers ain't playing tennis and then doing the bunny hop for these crackers out there because, oh, they're just hanging out together and playing or whatever the case is like that. Here's a dude in the video like, yo, yeah, doing all this other shit. But in this old stringy ass 150-pound fucking cracker has got him doing the bunny hop. How does that work? So now we understand how it works. Cause that'll be the fucking day. You can get me to do that damn shit. I mean, I did it in boot camp. I didn't do that again. No, it wasn't really bunny hop. It was like getting smoked, which I actually like. And I used to like doing the flutter kick, so I used to call it exercise and stuff like that. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Let's go into let's go to Amos 5 and verse 18. This is something like a lot of. I don't think many people understand what the day of the Lord really is all about. Amos 5, verse 18. This is the book of Amos 5, verse 18. It says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord Yahweh Shai. To what end is it for you the day of the Lord Yahweh Shai is darkness and not light?" When you think of the Heavenly Father, that that's why we pray all the time and give thanks to the Heavenly Father and especially Yahweh Shai, because he's the one he's the intercessor and the intermediate. It says right here, and this is all in capital, so this is talking about the Most High. The Most High don't give a fuck, man. Seriously. You just need to understand that. You need to understand that. Okay? As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him. You don't want no part of a lion, and you don't want no part of a bear. It could be a Kodiak bear, it could be a grizzly bear. Okay? Or went into the house and leaving the sand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Big ass freaking venomous snake. So what is this telling you right there? There's no escaping the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. There's no escaping him. Okay? He gave you three creatures, all predators, all apex predators that you would run from trying to escape one, and you run right into the other. You go run inside the house and you lean up in the wall going, "Oh man, I escaped a lion and a bear." And a damn big old friggin' king cobra will come and bite your doggone hand and inject you with about 3 gallons of doggone venom. Okay? Or maybe an anaconda come and grab you, bite you, and then friggin' wrap around you and squeeze you to death. Death. It says, as if, and it says, "Shall not the day of the Lord Yahweh Shema shall be darkness and not light, even very dark and not brightness in it," especially for the wicked people. We're prisoners of hope. What it said, prophets, and many are called and few are chosen, because a lot of people are going to fall out. We've got a challenge still to come. Right now, we studying. We got the test. We still have the test. We get a test to come when your house is taken, when your cars are taken, when this man is coming and beating the crap out of you and throwing you inside some dungeon, and you poop, and you can smell a big pile of shit in the corner of you in there with other people who are sick, and they ain't feeding you for days. You're dirty and smelly, and Jake, particularly us, man, we like to be clean. I don't like to go a day without bathing, man. I like to be clean, So you could be smelling your own underarm odor and your own odor, and then not to mention the other person whose pH level could be a hell of a lot worse than yours. They shitting in the corner, shitting on themselves. Everybody's sick and sneezing. And just pray to the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai we don't go through that level, but we could. Once we go through that level of being tested, somebody have you sit down there and show you the guillotine and chop your head off. Or you might want to rape you or some shit like that. I mean, Lord willing, it's not that. Okay. Not the guillotine part. Your head chopped off, you go in the spirit world. I'm talking about the other part, the other one. I'm about breaking shit, man. Fucking faggot cracker, man. Okay? But you got doggone Christians, they thinking when Yahweh Shema Shai returns, he's gonna, the sun comes back, that's gonna be like a happy time. Are you kidding? In fact, we can talk about how horrible that time is going to be. Okay, let's go. Let's go into. Let's talk about some horrible times for me. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15, 14 to 22. 2nd Ezra 15, 14 to 22. Let's talk a little bit about some horror that's going to take place here. And this is the Lord Yahweh Shemashai that's doing it when you see these things taking place. Okay? It's not coincidental or it's a so-called white man or the tariffs or all of this stuff like that. Every move that's being made that's working negative against Great Babylon America, that's hurting or impacting people here in a negative way, that's the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. That's the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. Because why is it impacting certain people and not others? Because that's how the Lord set it up. This is 2nd Ezra 15. It's verse 14. It reads, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So your mind is in the world. Now your body's here, but is your mind in the world? And you got to be very careful. There's a balance here, and we always have to like check ourselves and make sure you're not indulging in the world. Like, you know, I'm working a couple of little projects and stuff like that. It's in my head, you know. And I like, okay, you gotta get away, you know, don't become overwhelmed with these projects. You know? So, you know, you gotta, you watch a brother video, you know, give a prayer, and making sure that you don't get sucked into that dumb shit. That's why you gotta be so careful of who you associate yourself with. So when people don't talk to us, and I'm gonna speak for myself personally, when people don't talk to me or they ignore me or whatever the case is like that, or they look the other way, or I even go to my way to try to look the other way and try to ignore people. That's why a lot of time I try to walk around and cover. If I walk outside, I try to cover my mouth so that you don't know if I'm smiling or not. And especially when I'm at the gym, I try to cover. You don't want to get engaged with people like that because they can throw that spirit on you, man. They can throw that spirit on you. It says, for the sword and the destruction draw it down. One people should stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. They ain't got no choice. They ain't got no choice, man. Some people can have it, and others ain't gonna have it. And those who don't have it eventually is gonna sit down, and they're gonna be sitting down like in a chair. I think Texas passed a bill right now where it's easier for landlords now to evict tenants. And you landlords, you know, how you're doing it. I mean, of course, I think they usually send like authorities over to the door to go evict. Okay, but you have certain landlords who themselves, they're renting houses, or they might even own an apartment building. That could become a dangerous thing when you walk into people who are desperate and about to hit the street. Not everybody's going to really be able to take that street life. Because a lot of people you see on the street life, when you look at, you see on the street life, a lot of them on drugs. So it ain't nothing happening to them. But the people that's going to be the most dangerous people are going to be the people who don't really do drugs and is conscious and is aware that their life is about to change. Imagine being on the streets. Okay? And these people can possibly get violent. Okay? And Jake is going to be a target because of this. Jakes who are doing a lot better than these Edomites. You really believe these Edomites, if they lose their house and all the other shit, they don't, you think they could be looking and going, wow, but they're doing great for themselves. Hell to the hell no. They don't like to see you in that position. Okay? And other Jakes too. A lot of Jakes are envy, man. They envy. But they don't sit down and understand when you work 80, 90 hours a week, what you sacrifice as far as not living in the world, going on whining and dining with $300, $400 a night, you know, eating out and all that stuff. You cook all your food, and maybe you ate sardines all week or whatever the case is like that. You know, they don't look into that. All they look at is they see the end result. And that's how a nigga fucking thinks, man. And that's how all these people can be like that. It says, a man should be able, Salakia says, for there should be sedition amongst men, obeying one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions should stand in their power. So they ain't gonna give a crap what's coming out of Trump. We come up with this all the time. And I know it sounds like a broken record when we come out, you know, with the mark of the beast, and we talk about 2nd Ezra really go into really the shit hit the fan. Second address goes into it. Okay? The shit hitting the fan. Okay? You get Jeremiah that talks a lot of things that's going on with Babylon on a global scale with these nations coming up against them and, you know, the fall and the destruction of the Chaldees, you know, all those things, you know. But at the end of the day, all of these books complement each other as far as letting you know the beginning and the end. What is going to happen to this set of people, the righteous, and what is going to happen to the unrighteous, and then what is going to happen to the people that are well, they're not the two stars. The two stars in this whole in the show that the Lord has right now is Esau and Jacob. We are Jacob, Yasharallah, Prince of the Power. We are the 12th tribe of Israel, and right now ruling this earth and other wickedness is Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. Okay, that is bent on destroying us and annihilating us, and he's using all kinds of ways to do it. He's tried it with his lab, where he tried to get food to poison us, to try to discover our DNA. This is why you always have to give a blood test or a blood sample and stuff like that. They've been trying to look and see how they could create viruses and certain type of pathogens and stuff that only impact so-called black people or so-called Latinos. And now Esau is knowing now that Hebrews like could possibly be anyone. They could look like anyone. They could be in the government. They could look like a dumb white man walking. They could be movie stars looking like white people. They could be Asians. They could be, you know, Indians. They could be African. They could be anybody. So right now, this man is just going to go and wipe out as much people as he can in the hope that he can wipe out the children of Israel. Okay? Because now he understands it ain't just so-called blacks, okay, or Latinos, okay. It can also be what you think is Susie Mae or Sally, blonde hair, blue eye, or green eye. And you could swear that's a damn white woman. That's a damn Jake. Seen it with the man. What if Tom Cruise turned out to be a Jake? You think they can care? Esau's gonna kill Tom Cruise? They don't give a fuck. All right? Again, all judgment comes by the Lord. Yahweh Shemashach says, a man should desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city should be troubled, the houses should be destroyed, and man should be afraid. Why is man going to be afraid? You know, you got a lot of cats who say, well, you know, I got my boys and all that stuff with you, but the Lord created it in such a way that if you have high dependence on having a bunch of dudes around you, that means you're not really a brave person. That means you just have a lot of people around you. And you got to ask yourself the question, are those people around you, are they truly have your back or best interest? They might turn to girls. And the Lord might put a spirit in them to abandon you so that your specific judgment is you on your own, standing your ground. And now you have little kids looking at you going, Daddy, Daddy, and your wife looking at you, brave, big old brave view, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He said, man should be afraid. Right now, you can probably reason with somebody out there, or you can make reason with your neighbor. But when that time comes and there's no law, no 911, people can just do whatever the hell they want, the person standing in front of you right there, an argument can turn into a double-on gunfight real quick. Dead bodies in the street. Dead bodies outside your door on the street, in front of your house. Are you going to go there and pick up that dead body? Hell to the hell no, because you don't know if you can get a bullet up your ass and be the one laying next to that damn body. You see how this is going to play out? Okay? And they're going to utilize or use your women or your kids against you. See, by yourself, you can maneuver. You can move like that. You can be like Rambo. But when you get little kids and you get your woman, see, they're a target. Now you see how that works? And this is how this is going to go, man. They're going to be dirty. Okay? It says, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, the house should be destroyed, and man should be afraid. A man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. This might sound corny to some people, and it might also sound paranoid. I'm not paranoid. But I always look at my neighbors, them, and I always say, there might come a day when all things shut down, you hear some things going on, and these people coming from this other part of the town and all that stuff that possibly my neighbors, them, might be looking at me as a target. Certain neighbors not looking at you or saying anything to you. Are they looking at you as, I hate that nigga, man. Or I don't like him. So they might be waiting for when shit hit the fan that they might want to come and try to target your ass. Or something like that. I think of those things like that. Because of the scripture. Because of this scripture. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but destroy the house with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. Okay? I think about those things like that because of the scripture. We see this play out in other places. And this is going to play out on a global scale because it's going to be that time of judgment when the elect has been sealed. Now you got things really, really working. And the Lord allowed the evil to really be rampant. There ain't going to be no prophets on the highway preaching and saying, don't do this and don't do that. Pure anarchy. Nobody gives a shit about what the government says. They realize the government's full of crap, and we know that those people are going to be the Edomites. And you jakes who are thinking that you're going to be like, oh yeah, Trump is full of shit, along with these Edomites who are going to say Trump is full of shit. This video is coming up right now. They're saying militia group or friggin' doggone these white nationalists are preparing to slaughter Negroes and Latinos. And yes, a lot of people drive around with their windows tinted and head up their ass or listen to their music or blame their music and just have no clue or think that they're safe because there's a lot of people that look like them. For example, El Paso, filled with Latinos, which astonishingly almost 70% identify as white. So it makes sense that they would look at me a little kind of weird. Yeah, you as a spick or Latino, Hispanic. You got a part to piss a fucking, but you looking at me fucking weird. Because you identify as fucking white. Really, keep thinking, keep that spirit up like that. Go see these crackers, Billy Bob and them who live in these other towns like Odessa and these other parts of Texas. When they start coming down here and go, Bob, I know where I can go find you a damn spick and them damn niggers. They come right here. Yeah. What do you do? Oh, no. My name is Hector, but I am white, huh? Boy, I'm gonna laugh at you motherfuckers, man. You're so fucking weird and so weak. Okay, let's close out here with. Let's close out with. Actually, let's go to Jeremiah 50. I always like to bring out Esau's destruction. It's always a pleasure to talk about the destruction of Great Babylon, America. This is the book of Jeremiah 50, Psalms 20 reads, a sound of battles in the land and great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation amongst the nations, which these nations right now are saying to America, we don't need you, we don't need to bow down to you. We're getting ready to fight. I have laid a snare for thee, O, and thou art also taken of Babylon, and thou wast not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. When you change the image, that's striving against the Lord. When you have denied who we really are, who the children of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai really are, that's striving against the Lord. You set up impostors in the land of Israel, okay, calling them the holy people, then arm them to the teeth to go around and destroy all their neighbors. That's you striving against the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. Now, all those other nations that are getting judged, but the fact that these people are sitting over there, these people sitting over there calling themselves the children of the Lord, or the Jews, that's striving against the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. It says the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai had opened his army and had brought forth the weapons of indignation, for this is the work of the Lord God of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. And he's saying, come against her from the utmost border, open a storehouse, cast out in heat, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left, which is going to be that blow that's going to come to Great Babylon, America. There's a blow that's going to be coming on the great Babylon America. Okay? So you people need to understand that you have to keep constantly in mind that the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to destroy great Babylon America. This place is not forever. Okay? It's not forever. Let's go, you know what? I want to close over Job. Let's go to the book of Job 20 and start verse 22. This is the book of Job 20 and start verse 22. It says, because keep in mind we always talk about the MOTB, but when that happens, because I think the apostles always bring it up that there's they implement World War III and the implementation of the MOTB. Two most significant prophecy. And Jacob's trouble probably it most likely already started, because basically what is trouble? If you're Hebrew Israelite, you're going through tribulation, and basically you're going through Jacob's trouble. Okay? And our people don't understand that, because see, they're thinking like all so-called blacks and Americans, Latinos are just going to be on all at the same time, just like, oh, that's eventually going to take place, because you got to continue as more Jakes lose jobs or more Jakes getting that judgment. It's going to be a bigger thing, until it's like all the Hebrew Israelites are being basically chased down to be put to death by Esau, internment camps filled to the pot. You know, they've done away with the law and saying you people are the reason why America is not profiting, or America is not being great again. And we've gone to the second address about that, and how they're gonna be like madman, sparing none, taking the cash out of your house and just accusing you of all kinds of shit. We already seen that happening right now. These Latinos, you go read enough and go dig deep enough, you'll see that Latinos are being pulled out of their houses, and Jakes, Latinos, okay, Northern and Southern Kingdom, I should say, tribe members are being pulled out of their houses, and they've been in this country for 20 years or whatever case, 30 years, and been cast out of their house and shipped back empty-handed. They don't even get to grab their clothes out of their house. Nothing. And shipped back to whatever, empty-handed. They got nothing. So this is going to happen on a grand scale of potential, millions of us cast out in the street like that, and thrown in dungeons and put to death and all kinds of crap. And it's going to be just the regular people out there, these other tribes out there who absolutely hate your ass. There ain't gonna be no place to run, Jake. That's why it says, when I brought up Amos earlier, Amos 5, which talked about the day of the Lord, when he said that you're going to run from the lion to right into the bear, run into the house and think, okay, I think I got away. And then the snake come and bite your ass. Meaning what? If you are not covered by the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai during the time of Jacob's trouble, there will be no escape. None. It's beyond, but it's hard for people to comprehend that there's not going to be any due process. You are no longer a person now. Okay? It says, this is book of Job 20, verse 22 reads, in the fulfillment of his sufficiency, he should be in straits. Every hand of the wicked should be upon him, which is going to be these people out there that's going to say, man, you're full of shit. It's going to be it's going to be like a status war, or basically class war. Okay? So you might be a politician right now. You shit at the fan. People will be coming at your ass, man. They hate you. You ruin their life, as they're going to be saying. When he's about to fill his belly, power shall cast a furious rod upon him, and shall rain upon him. While he's on. So coming into that MOTB and the way this new world order, or the dystopian lifestyle that they're looking to bring on the really wicked rulership, it's going to be going, and a lot of people are going to be volunteering for it, but there's going to be so many people that's going to be like against it. So that's going to be, you're going to have just chaos. But at some point in time, he's going to say they think they've gotten everybody to comply, because the fear of death is going to really numb the mind of a lot of people, and they're just going to be like, I give up. I'll be a part of it, whether they want to or not. And at that point in time, they're going to cry victory. Okay. Remember, let me give you an example of that. Remember when George Bush Jr. Was in a fighter jet, and he landed on an aircraft carrier, which of course he was just sitting in the back. I think he used to be a fighter pilot. And so but I don't know if he landed that plane because it takes a lot of training. But he was sitting in the back of the plane, and you know, it was symbolic. He came out and he said, the wars ended. This happened in 2005, and he said that after that you had the Fallujah and all that other stuff, and you had the death toll of the American service members just increased afterward. It was just beginning of the serious campaign. So he prematurely celebrated, okay, and the real shit happened. So when did it really end? When they withdrew out of there in 2020 or 2021, when they withdrew out of there. That's when it ended. Okay. When he's about to fill his belly, power shall cast the fierce rod upon him and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and a bow of steel shall strike him true. It is drawn coming out of the body, yea, the glittering sword coming out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. The Lord is going to bring every kind of calamity on this cracker when he thinks he's got the children of Israel subjected to his real intention. Okay, that the whole world on this thumb. The Lord is going to really jack this motherfucker up, man. It says, all darkness, it is drawn and coming out of his body, yet the glittering sword coming out of his gall, terrors upon him. All darkness shall be hidden in secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is deaf in the tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. Paul coming up against him in every nation. Okay? The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of the wicked man from power, and the heritage appointed unto him by power. So this is what the end result is going to be for Esau, for everything that he's putting his hand to commit, which is always wickedness. Okay, that's his heritage. None of his stuff that he's doing is going to amount to anything but massive failure and excessive death, especially for those that follow him, which is going to climax into the complete and utter destruction of Great Babylon, America. Lord willing, the believers, including the brothers and the prophets that's going on the highway and sighing and crying against this wicked place, we're in those new bodies, okay, on the chariot, watching the completion of the judgment on this earth, but in particular to watch Great Babylon, America destroyed from the chariot. Lord willing, the neck was edified today. I'd like to close by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Shalom.